Who protects the president when he needs to be protected from himself? Let's talk about the new thriller Shadowland. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Our Past, and I'm here to talk to you about Shadowland, a new political-ish thriller that came to theaters on May 31st, 2024, and is coming to digital on June 4th, 2024. It is a movie about a president and protecting the president from dangers, most notably himself. That is why I'm dressed up in my best-ish Secret Service looking outfit. So is this thriller worth your time? Well, my hot take is I think you should watch it later. It's an interesting thriller. It has a nice kind of slow burn and a really great cast. It's got Jon Voight, it's got Rhona Mitra, but it also has kind of an unsatisfying ending. So it's a mixed bag, but I enjoyed enough about this. I think you should definitely check it out. Just wait for it to come to streaming or on demand if the price is right. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there is some surprises along the way. I would turn off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Shadowland, you have the former president played by Jon Voight, who is at his, I guess his retirement retreat. It's a camp called Shadowland. It seems to kind of be sort of like Camp David, I guess. But he seems to be leaving here permanently, and he is out here with a few Secret Service agents kind of watching over him, making sure he's okay. But he starts having some nightmares related to some events that happened during his time in office. But when he's convinced that these nightmares are becoming true, what can they do to help him? So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I liked the opening. It had a nice kind of thriller type opening, and then it really kind of took its time to get going. It was definitely a slow burn type film that lets you kind of get used to the characters, get used to some of the political intrigue that had happened that kind of got you to this point. So I really enjoyed that. I like that a lot, and I like that it wasn't really in a rush to go anywhere. It kind of lets you enjoy Jon Voight's character and this strange situation that he's in. The second thing I love, it has a great cast. I already mentioned Jon Voight's in it. He does a fantastic job. Rhona Mitra's in it. Marton Csokas is in it too. It has just a really good, strong cast. But Jon Voight is definitely the headliner. He is kind of really good as this kind of old president who you're kind of wondering whether he is actually seeing these things or whether it's in his mind. You kind of wonder that for a long part in this movie. And he does a good job. And he also is very kind of charismatic. You're supposed to feel for him, and he definitely gets that done. And the last thing I love, it has a really great music. It has some intense music. It's a thriller. You would expect some intense music. It has some really strong cello vibes and things like that, especially when you're supposed to be on edge. So the movie does contribute to the mood a lot, which is important when you have a thriller. So things I didn't love as much about this movie. The first, some of the effects aren't great, especially in the opening. I already mentioned I liked the opening. I thought the opening was good, but there is a certain part of the opening that just does not look good. I don't know what was going on with it, but maybe it was just my screen, or maybe a little fixed later. But it kind of left a little sour note. There aren't a ton of effects though, so don't be too worried. There aren't a lot of effects, but that one just kind of hit you from the start. And the second thing I didn't love as much, I'll call it the motivation. It's more of kind of the turn, the ending, all that stuff. It feels a little forced. It doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. I think maybe if they had a little bit more time to kind of delve in, it might have been better, but for me, the ending just kind of tried to wrap things up very quickly and leave you a little bit shocked, which it did, but I didn't really understand why. So, all that being said, Shadowland is coming to theaters on May 31st, 2024, and digital on June 4th, 2024. Like I said, I think you should watch later. I think you should wait for it to come to streaming or on demand before you check it out. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into the ending right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some surprises along the way, I would turn it off now. So, like I said, Shadowland, you have Jon Voight playing the former president, and I don't really remember his name. They call him a bunch of nicknames. They call him Big Duke. That's his main nickname. So I'll probably call him Big Duke. But he is basically living out his retirement on this secure campus, this secure place called Shadowland, which I think is supposed to be kind of like Camp David. He's got 2 or 3 Secret Service agents who served with him when he was the president, and now they are watching him in retirement, making sure he's okay. And normally you think this would be a really cush, easy job, but it starts to get less easy when Big Duke starts having nightmares about something that happened during his time in office. He keeps having these visions of a specific decision he made, and then he is convinced that he sees someone watching him in the camp, which all the Secret Service agents are that's impossible. There's no way. It's secure. There's no way someone will be able to get in. He's convinced, and so he starts calling some of his friends, most notably his old advisor slash doctor Elliot, who helped him when he was in office. lives close by and comes to help him try to figure this out. And Elliot kind of takes on like a jack of all trades role. He's a very kind of like trusted advisor, even though I think he's supposed to just be a doctor, like a psychologist essentially. He like gets a lot of tasks from the president that you would think would go to the Secret Service, but I guess he only wants to trust Elliot. Now, to complicate things, uh, Big Duke is writing his memoir, and so part of that is going over this decision. And he just decides to bring Rachel over, played by Rhona Mitra, who is Elliot's ex-wife and someone who has been a staunch critic of his. His thinking is like, look, if I can get her on board, then that means that the book will be stronger, and she'll point out all the flaws of my book anyways. And if I have to justify it to her, then I can justify it to anyone. So he brings her in to help write the book. She is there as well, but her and Elliot are separated, so there's a little bit of drama there, though not as much as you would think. Now, what is this decision that is, paining the ex-president? Well, it is a decision to bomb a lab in Estovia that occurred during his time in office. They basically were given intelligence that this lab was 48 hours from being operational, and then Estovia would get uranium, then they could maybe make a bomb. And so, people were pressuring him. The military was like pressuring him to do this, trying to get him to make this decision quickly. And he eventually did. And it turns out that that intelligence was false. That intelligence was fabricated, and he bombed just some random building, causing a ton of death. Also, putting in danger troops that were in Estovia already. And so it was a big political blunder. It was a big kind of like stain on his presidency. So it is something that he has been grappling with. But it seems like maybe there is something from his past that is coming to get him. So also complicating this is that there are rumors that there is going to be a document dump that is going to be released soon that is going to make the president look very bad. He stands by his decision. He didn't love it, but he made the decision, so he's kind of owned it. And this document dump is apparently going to put his decision in a bad light. So all of these things are kind of happening. He's having these nightmares. He's saying he's seeing people. So they bring in Elliot, his former doctor, to come help him out. Now, Elliot does talk to him, but then the president gives him like tasks that you would think would be for Secret Service. He's like, can you go look in the woods and see if you see anyone? And you're like, this guy's a doctor. Like, what? I mean, why would he know anything about the woods or like, someone having an operation? He does. He finds like essentially what would look like a hunting blind, an area that was cleared out and covered so you could observe the facility. And they're like, well, it could be a blind, or it could be, a deer that made a home there. We don't know. But what we do find is an energy drink can that was there. Some energy drink can was in there, which doesn't seem to bode well. That deers don't drink energy drinks, at least the ones in my area don't. So it seems like maybe there was a person that is using this blind. Now, Elliot brings this concern to one of the Secret Service agents on duty, Cahill, and he goes and checks it out. And it turns out that one of the groundskeepers had to hire his nephew, and the kid is a mess up. But apparently he likes to drink these drinks, so he must have just like thrown it out. And he's like, "Dude, come on, police your trash." So it seems like that avenue was a no-go. But there are some other things that start happening. Most notably, Big Duke starts to get better recognition in his dream. So he's dreaming about this person that he kind of sees in the periphery. And now he seems to think that he actually knows who this person is. So he keeps dreaming. There are some other incidents that happen. He woke up one night and like saw the person, like he woke up one day, he like rode off into the woods to try to find the person because he swore he saw him. The person disappeared and he fell off of his horse. The Secret Service had to scramble to get him. They didn't find anyone, but so it seems like the president is getting worse and worse. Now, one night, the president calls Elliot when he is actually talking to Rachel. It seems like they're, slowly rekindling some sort of relationship. But the president calls, Elliot's got to go. He goes over there, and Big Duke tells him he finally saw him, but he couldn't make out his face. He saw the face, but he couldn't remember it completely. But then Big Duke starts talking to Elliot about how he needs to make up with Rachel. Good advice. But Elliot doesn't take that advice. He goes straight home after that, doesn't go back to Rachel's place, and calls it a night. Well, the next morning, Rachel comes to see him. You think, oh, this will be nice. This will be sweet. Nope, it's not. It's a business meeting, essentially. Rachel received an email, an encrypted email that had some information on it about this document dump. The documents talk about how the president implemented a regime change, I think, in Estovia after the strike, and how this group, this corporation, the Burton Group, kind of pushed that regime change and then got a lucrative contract from the new person who was put in charge, this, I think, General like Radamov or something like that. And so this paints the president in a very bad light. This makes it look like the president did this, did it corrupt to like help friends who he knew on the Burton group, help his colleagues, things like that. It makes it look like he did this for cronyism. Rachel doesn't believe that he did. She thinks she actually likes him now that they've had some time to talk and hang out. But she gives this to Elliot to then give to the president and warn him. So that morning, the president is, tending to his horses on his camp, and he decides to go for a ride. He decides to go for a ride with a gun, which was weird. And while he's riding, he sees someone. He sees that person that has been in his dreams, and he pursues them, even though he's on a horse, and that person is apparently on foot. You don't see him. You just see the president riding. He doesn't catch him up. The president actually shoots in the air to stop him, but that spooks his horse. He falls off his horse, hurts his head. The Secret Service agents catch up to him, and he's like, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine," even though he fell off a horse, and he's pretty old. That is very dangerous. But he's like, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine. Go get him, go get him." So the Secret Service agents fan out. But while they're there, the president does find the top of an MRE. An MRE is called meal ready to eat. It's a military ready-made meal. And so he finds the top of it. So someone was eating MREs out here, which is not normal. That's more of like a camping thing. It's more of like a deployment thing. It's not really something you would eat if you're just, out there. So the Secret Service don't find anything, but they do investigate that MRE. And again, it's that nephew, it's Jimmy. Cahill says, "Oh, Jimmy sometimes likes to play military, so he'll be out there eating MREs." Elliot, I think, doesn't believe this because they found a can and they found this MRE and they're all blaming on Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't seem like the kind of person. So he goes up to Jimmy and just starts talking and is like, says something about an MRE. And Jimmy's like, "What are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't do that military stuff. That's not for me." And so this piques Elliot's concern. And then he goes and like throws away his lunch and he makes sure to recycle his can. So that's another thing. That's another thing that Jimmy probably, he seems to be neat. Even though he's a mess up, he seems to at least throw away his trash. So things aren't looking good. Now, Elliot is talking to Rachel. They're trying to figure out what to do. And she says that that the camp has cameras on 24/7. And so they have to go in and take the footage so they can analyze it themselves. They can't trust the people that are there, which that seems real bad. You should sneak in. And, they have essentially a USB drive. Rachel goes and distracts the Secret Service agents. Elliot pops in, copies the drive, copies the information off the security camera footage. That doesn't seem good. Don't plug in a rogue USB drive into a government computer. That's not going to end well. He does it. He copies it. Apparently, he can copy it over, no problem. Copies the footage. They leave. And when they analyze it, they see one morning when Cahill comes in, he comes in pretty regularly at clockwork. Right after he comes in, the footage goes black for a couple minutes. And then it turns back on. And that's the only footage that was messed up. This footage is a backup. It shouldn't have been edited, but this one was. So it makes them start thinking that maybe Cahill's involved. Cahill's also the person that kept telling Elliot that Jimmy was the one that was causing all these problems. We now suspect Cahill, and the movie doesn't let us stay in suspense for long. A little bit later, we see Cahill go off into the woods. He tells them he's going to go off in the woods to run an errand. And when he gets there, he finds this person with like a burned face. And Cahill's like, "What happened yesterday? We had the old man where we wanted him. You didn't do it." Basically, when the old man was like on his horse out in the woods, they could have taken him out. And the guy with the face is like, "No, they have to make it look like a suicide. He deserves this fate for what he did to this country." So apparently Cahill is upset about what the president did. And then assuming this burned out face person is probably also upset. So it seems like Cahill is working with this person to take out the president. And it's been a slow process. He's been kind of observing him. He's been making some mess ups. And so Cahill wanted to talk to him and say, like, it's time to get it done. Well, it seems like they're going to do it that night. That night, Elliot and Rachel head to the camp at night because they're worried about the president. And when they get there, Rachel goes in to check on Big Duke, and Elliot looks in the stables looking for Nathan, one of the Secret Service agents that they can trust. Well, they don't find Nathan, but Cahill tackles Elliot and starts beating him up. Cahill takes Elliot, throws him in the Secret Service car, like zip ties him, throws him in the Secret Service car. And that's when we see the burned out face dude. Cahill's like, "It's time to go. It's time to do this." And the burned out face dude just shoots him a couple times. And you're like, what? Like, they're working together. But the guy's like, "You were never gonna, let me leave. You were gonna make me take the fall. So I'm essentially gonna preemptively do that for you." So he shoots Cahill a bunch. He wastes like 7 bullets. That's a lot of bullets. He needs some more. There's multiple people here. But then he realizes someone's in the car. And so he gets ready to try to open it up. Elliot had locked the car while he was in there, thankfully. When this burned out face guy tries to open the door, he gets the keys, unlocks it. And right when he's about to open it, Elliot kicks the door, hits him in the face, knocks him down. And I was like, this guy already killed Cahill. He has a gun. You should do something. He's on the ground. Like, I don't know, take the gun, shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the arm, do something, zip tie him. I don't know. But Elliot just runs. He runs away very slowly. And as he's running away, the burned out face guy gets up and shoots him in the leg. So Elliot is down. But he's only shot in the leg. And we find out a little bit more about this person. This person was Terry Magnuson. He was injured in the Estonia fight. He basically, was one of the people that was a casualty of the Estonia bombing. He had his face like completely destroyed. And so he's mad at the president for that. He's mad at the president for making that decision. And then apparently he's also mad at the president visiting when he was in the hospital. The president did come to visit some people. I guess he didn't visit Terry. And so he's angry for multiple reasons. So he wanted to kill the president. Cahill, I guess, was embarrassed. So he wanted to kill the president too. Seems like a lot of people want to kill the president here. So now that Elliot shot in the leg, Terry is starting to approach him. Elliot turns around. He had a gun. Boom, shoots him in the chest. Terry goes down. But he's wearing a bulletproof vest. He's ready for this. So he gets back up. But when he gets back up, his head explodes. The president from his, residence shoots him in the face. Really good shot. Good shot, Mr. President. So now Terry's down. So after this happens, a car pulls up and it's Jasper. It's the person they were looking for earlier, the person they thought that they could trust. And he says he called the police as soon as he heard the shots. And Rachel's like, "You called the police? That's odd, because there's a scrambler that blocks all signal on the compound." And Jasper realizes the gig is up. He starts laughing. He pulls out a gun and puts it on Elliot. And we're trying to figure out, like, why is he doing this? What's going on? And then Rachel asks the president, whose idea was to back Rhona, the new general that they installed. And the president's like, it was Jasper. Jasper brought in the Burton group. So it seems like Jasper was involved in this. He brought in the Burton group. He brought Rhona in probably to make a lot of money. And we find out that Jasper did make a lot of money. The president asks him, how much did they pay you? And he says, more than you can dream, but not nearly enough. He really wanted to do this for what he did to Jasper's daughter. Jasper's daughter was also in Estovia during the strike. And apparently, I don't know if she was injured or if she was just like mentally hurt by it, because Jasper then says, like, she hasn't left her room in years. So we don't know if she was injured, but the president's like, wait, I asked about your daughter all the time. Like, I asked how she's doing, and you always said she was fine. But apparently the president didn't see the daughter. He just asked about her. So he didn't take that extra step. And so that made Jasper angry also. So that was partly what the motivation was here. I mean, it should have just been the money. The money would have been fine. But they bring this daughter thing in as well. So Jasper's really upset. And the president's like, look, I should have done more. I'm sorry. You're my good friend. I should have done more. I'm truly sorry. And then Jasper raises his gun to the president, and the president shoots him. Boom. President's a great shot. President is like crack shot. So he takes out Jasper. So we see the next morning, the ambulances are there. They had a satellite phone, so they could call the ambulances. They came. They're prepping Elliot to go to the hospital. He and Rachel are making up. They kiss. It seems like their relationship's fine. Then Big Duke comes over, and Elliot's like, I owe you an apology for doubting you. And Big Duke's like, are you kidding? Like, you're the only one I could turn to. Like, I leaned on you the entire time. And so Elliot goes to the hospital. Rachel comments to the president that she finally understands the thing that he always talks about. His motto was like, do your job properly and don't let the people around you down. And so he did his job, I guess, and the people around him supported him, mostly Elliot and Rachel. The other people around him didn't support him. So I don't know, he did let them down, I guess. He didn't do enough. But that is the end of Shadowland. Like I said, I liked it. It had a nice kind of slow buildup. It had some interesting thoughts. It also had this weird ending, this justification I didn't really love. So overall, I think you should watch it later, wait for it to come to stream, wait for it to come to on demand. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you. Marton Csokas is in it too.